You don't have to worry about whether the audience is feeling bored or not. I'm looking at Pupi. If she yawns, I know that we're feeling.
Yeah, same here because I'm always looking at the most glamorous lady in the audience, and
So that's my barometer, right? And it's slight pressure on you, Pupi. um, Victor, there is you talked about not being about being leftist at some point. There was this one quote by one economist which said that if you're not a leftist when you're young, then you don't have a heart, and if you are a leftist when you're older, then you don't have a head. Rayan, can we play that Adnan thing? So I'll get to Victor about Mithun Chakravarti in a bit. And that's her question. Guess the song. I hope you guess the song. Listen to the lyrics.
मुझको भी तो लिफ्ट करा दे, थोड़ी सी तो लिफ्ट करा दे। तेरी ऊंची शान है मौला, मेरी अर्जी मान ले मौला। तू है सब कुछ जानने वाला, मैं हूँ तेरा मानने वाला। बंगला मोटर कार दिला दे, एक नहीं तो चार दिला दे। मुझको एरोप्लेन दिला दे, दुनिया भर की सैर करा दे। कैसे कैसों को दिया है, ऐसे देशों को दिया है। मुझको भी तो लिफ्ट करा दे, थोड़ी तो लिफ्ट करा दे।
So India gets liberalized, and as people are still figuring out what the spelling of liberalization is, Adnan Sami is giving us the anthem, and at that time you see this very serious move from what you pointed out, that from a period of strife and hard work to a period of wealth and materialism. Does that get reflected in modern cinema? I mean, I think so, but I want to hear from you.
I think I haven't reflected on it as much as in the 90s. I think there's a with the big change or with the liberalization comes, it's also concurrent with the rise of Shah Rukh Khan. So suddenly everybody, the heroes of the time were Anil Kapoor, Jackie Shroff, or people who they were men and they had been around for a while. And suddenly 92, 93, this young boy from Delhi comes. He's legit young. And that's what happens. And I think we are probably at the cusp of something like that happening again. But I'll just go back to Shah Rukh. And Shah Rukh Khan comes and does Bazigar, Dar, very negative characters. But characters who are driven. And it's his youth and the charm. And he speaks to an audience which is younger, which is okay with saying that obsessive love, stalking is fine. At that point of time, we didn't know that it was that. We just thought, obsessive lover. But that and the whole foreign locale travel, the aspirational thing for the Indian audience, कि हम फिल्मों के थ्रू हम लंदन पहुंच गए, हम कभी न्यूयॉर्क पहुंच गए, स्विट्जरलैंड पहुंच गए. So, but these things, I think they matter. They mattered then. Today, the average Indian is a much better traveled person. A widely reviled and hated tourist across the world, but he or she is a well-traveled person. So, so those things are no longer currency, but at that point of time they were, and that's the opening. That हम लोग मतलब एम्बेसडर और फिएट में घूम घूम के आपकी जिंदगी खत्म हो गई थी. Suddenly there's there are other cars.
I mean, this was like really below the belt. If you remember, a couple of years ago, the only headlines were about one particular nationality, which when it was flying international was urinating on other people. I mean, where did it come from? But talking of Shah Rukh Khan, Rayan, can we play him? You have to listen to the lyrics here. Javed Akhtar at his best. Yeah.
जो भी चाहो वो मैं पाऊं जिंदगी में जीते जाऊं चांद तारे तोड़ लाऊं सारी दुनिया पर मैं छाऊं बस इतना सा ख्वाब है बस इतना सा ख्वाब है
Okay. Thanks. So that
This is
that's the
Manmohan Singh's song.
Actually, it is a fit obituary for Manmohan. He really showed us that this Chand Tare Tod Lana is possible, and dream about traveling everywhere. So to continue that, Victor, that with the turn of the century, liberalization, globalization became really big, and were the path to economic growth all over the world, and Hindi cinema, more than any other cinema, including the rest of India's cinema, showed it to its best, and in all its hues. And there was one very interesting movie. I don't know how many of you saw it. It was called Bunty or Bubbly. Right? That was liberalization and at its spoofiest best. I mean, one mischievous question I want to ask Victor, because he was part of Guru, is why is it that all these crooks are played by Abhishek Bachchan? I don't know. He casts them, so there must be some reason. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That's where it begins. Yeah. So all of us, Kanpuriyas and Allahabadis, loved it for that. I mean, some of us share that thing. We also took a train and came to Hyderabad. But it became okay to do these things, and these petty crime and all became celebrated. Dhoom does that. So how do you fit that in? I mean, how do you explain that in the moral compass?
I think Bunty Bubbly is an excellent example of the desires of the small town, and the fact that they don't need to be within the parameters of the law. They're con people. They're con men, and they're young. Their ambition outstrips the means that they have to realize those ambitions. So it does start with Abhishek's character, who has created some contraption which he thinks is going to be like, he'll patent it and it'll bring him millions, but he can't. So in a strange way, it also is it is reflective of us, where you will first try IIT, you will first try the next engineering college, then Manipal. Finally, after the fourth attempt, you will say, यार मैं पेपर आउट करा लेता हूँ इसका. कोई तो होगा ना जो पेपर बना रहा है, उसके घर जाते हैं. So I think that inventiveness comes, and truth be told, in film there is nothing more boring than a good person. It's lethal. It's like watching paint dry. आप इतने अच्छे हैं तो आप क्यों हैं यहाँ पर? Because we don't go to the theater to see things. We go to the theater to see things that should not happen to us. And this is true. I mean, this is the basis of Greek tragedy. We never we want some values to be reaffirmed. Yes, कि अच्छा अमिताभ बच्चन चोर है, लेकिन एंड में ना वो ठीक हो जाता है यार, वो आ गया माँ के पैरों में. I mean, in the 70s they were more cruel. They killed him each time, and each time it was box office gold. So after a point, Bachchan not dying in a film was a surprise. But yeah, I think Bunty Bubbly or crime in film is exciting. There is, I mean, there's a famous, partially problematic sort of a quote of Godard which says, "All you need to make a film is a girl and a gun." Put the two together on a poster. I mean, you've got some people coming, boss. Some people are definitely coming. So, I think the relationship of crime and film is वो तो चोली दामन का साथ है, वो नहीं टूटेगा. अब उस क्राइम में कितना हम देख लेते हैं, which becomes old hat for us, or is there a new way to look at it? That's perhaps it's like Godfather. It looks at the mafia, but from the perspective of a family which is actually breaking down. Though it looks as if everybody is saying, "Oh, we are doing it for the family, we are doing it for the family," but actually it is the death of the family, and it is the death of the family in America. Godfather starts with the close-up of a man who says, "I love America," but actually he's come to the Italian mafia guy saying, "Save me from America." By the end of Godfather 1, Michael Corleone has killed his brother-in-law. He has made his sister a widow. He has done. He has killed everybody pretty much close to him, and his wife has left him with the children. So there is. It's the romantic notion of the family is completely broken. But because the character is like a Shakespearean hero, so we are looking at him with awe and wonder. But it is not about family. The family is done.
Okay, so let me ask some simpler question. Right? So if you are making your next big romantic movie, launching next month, who will be your hero? That is a simple question.
Personally, for me, I think it should be somebody.
No, give us
Young.
a name. Give us a name.
Yeah, there is the heroes that we have right now. The three big heroes are all pushing 60.
Two of us here. Right?
अब हम ही लोग बचे हैं हमें. अपने को उतरना पड़ेगा मैदान में.
Famously said.
हाँ, वरना मुश्किल है.
तो एक नाम लो यार.
Romantic film, honestly, I feel that the romantic film that is dying to be made with people who are fresh, who have not been seen before. Because, truth be told, I mean, that's what I would buy. I think everybody else is already 35, 40 plus, by which time you have learned, you've learned that the theorem of love also has a corollary. But the joy of love has to be a younger person.
All right. I shatter some old people here.
Actually, I have written a love story about old people.
Oh,
which
thank you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
आप तो हैं उसमें. This was your audition.
So, if you refuse to give us a male name, give us a female name. Who will be the?
देखिए, अभी आपने ये पूरे शाम की शुरुआत की थी कि इस वक्त हिंदी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री
Is that it?
कितने पाताल में.
चलिए.
वहां से मैं किन लोगों के नाम निकालूं?
I think that's a fair enough answer. That gives us everything that we wanted to know. So, you talked about Amitabh Bachchan dying in every movie, and there's one movie in which I think he was supposed to die, but he did not. And a cult movie, and Rajesh Khanna dies instead. I remember Namak Haram. Namak Haram was another strange movie. in that movie, the entire discussion is on trade unions.
Yeah.
What should trade unions do? How should the capitalists look at trade unions? Najam is yawning, so I have to talk about women now. uh, where did that go away, Victor? That sensibility of talking about something, as critical as labor, wages.
I think a couple of things happened. Of course, Namakaan is also at the time when the textile mill trade unions were peaking. So I think the way perhaps that I can, it's not hazarding a guess. I think there is some truth there. We made films which had strong working class characters and heroes. There are many people here who would still remember that theaters used to have the front, what was called the front bench, special class होता था, या first class बोलते थे उसको, और वो पीछे family and then balcony. So all the gentry used to go to the balcony, and the front benches were driving. Yeah. Gradually, we lost that audience because we stopped making films for them. The people who are making films for that, I'm so sorry about this blow. I don't know why it's happening. Normally, I'm a good public speaker.
I think you should take this mic.
But I think somewhere we stopped making films for them, which started telling stories. Economic liberalization, diaspora, हिंदुस्तानी आदमी जो लंदन में है, कभी खुशी कभी गम has a dialogue where Amitabh Bachchan looks at the chopper and says we should get a couple more of these. कहाँ हिंदुस्तान में किसने चॉपर देखा भाई? वो दो चार और खरीद रहे. So what happens is we started distancing that audience, and that audience actually got looked after by Telugu cinema, by Bhojpuri cinema. Today Bhojpuri cinema is probably the biggest that it has ever been historically. Telugu cinema is as big as it has ever been historically. So we lost that audience because we stopped telling stories like that. They didn't matter to us because the working class also stopped mattering to us in real life. We relegated them to jobs. ये मेरा ऑटो वाला, ये मेरा फला है, ये मेरा बावर्ची है, ये. They are not seeing the same film that you are seeing. And gradually, it's over a couple of decades that we've lost them. But right now, the audience which is coming in droves to make all these films a big hit, and there are some, I mean, if you look at the numbers, for example, if we say that, okay, Hindi films are rated creative worst, time because there's a lot of navel gazing, but just look at the numbers. We've had 2 films this year. One dubbed film has done 700 crores. Stree 2 has done 538 crores. Bhool Bhulaiya 3 has done another some 200. So actually the year has given you over 1500 crores, which normally would not happen. But it's only come from 3 films. Whereas otherwise this money would have come from 25 other films. So there is an erosion of the audience, and the erosion is in the confidence of the audience to say, if I go to the theatre, there is a story which will work for me. And the second thing is they've been priced out. If you go to the multiplex, you are paying 500 rupees. What was essentially a family viewing, or also the working class viewing, it was 1 rupee 90 paisa. It's $500 a pop. Popcorn is another 500. Your ticket price and something that you eat in the interval cannot be the same price, no? But it's that. So now who can afford to do that? और सच बात तो ये कि जब आप 35 रुपए में पिक्चर देखते हो ना, तो उसकी बहुत सारी खामियां आप माफ कर देते हो. ठीक है यार, देखिए. जब आप वही फिल्म 3,500 रुपए में देखते हो, कहते यार ये बनाया है. So today, if you were to ask me, today we are a consumable. As a film industry, today I am subservient to the audience because I know that I am taking their money and I have to give them value for that money. Now, whether the value is through an action sequence, through a song, through a star, that is what everybody's trying to figure out. But the valuation is wrong. It's like the आप बोलते हैं ना स्टॉक मार्केट इज हीटेड अप. अब वो जो ₹2 का शेयर था आप उसको ₹2,500 में खरीद रहे हो, कैसे होगा?
So true. You know, that actually brings me to this very difficult question that some academics who study the movie business have been trying to do. And you know, I'll ask you to think about, all of you, that if you were making a movie, right? We all think that we are filmmakers and that one day I will make a film. And if you were to make a movie, then what would you do? Is there a formula? Let's say, 10 grams of humor, 5 grams of, right, emotion, 3 item numbers, right, and somebody dying. Is there a formula like that? Is there something that tells you when you watch the rushes after you edited that this film is going to do well?
See, truth is, a film gets made a couple of times. First, when you write it, and that's when there are two silences in a film: the writing and the editing. Otherwise, it's chaos. It's human resource management. It's a bunch of other things. But sometimes the filmmaker has very little distance left. So by the time a film is complete, at least I as a filmmaker am completely in love with whatever it is that is out there. And at the same time, there is hatred, because each time you look at it, there is some mistake that you see. Each time you look at it, there is something that you want to change, and you know that now you can't change it. It's done. It's now written. So, but I think the only way to judge it sometimes is to see how other people who have not seen the film, how they are reacting to it. And that becomes, not often, but that becomes a little bit of an index. Having said that, history is full of films which people didn't believe in at all till the last day, and they went on to be blazing successes. So I'd like to still stick my neck out and say, if what you wanted to do has gotten delivered and the reason to make the film is true, then that's a success. Whether it makes money or not, we as filmmakers, if we knew how to do that, we'd do it each time. And money is not the reason why any of us ventured in here, because there are easier ways to make money. And the film is definitely not an easy way to make money.
This realization that the material returns are not important came to this gentleman after he made Thugs of Hindustan. but Victor, after I ask this question, I'll go over to you to ask your questions. What I wanted to know was that when you are doing this thing of making a movie, watching it, and deciding whether it is successful or not, does it sometimes make sense to hold it back, to redo it again, or is it too late?
No, there's always, see, with film, there's always a room to reshoot something. I mean, Hollywood does it now. They've worked the science out. And even in all films here, every film, there is something or the other that you feel has not come out well, and you can go and reshoot it, because in for a penny, in for a pound. It's stupid to sort of not do that. But to see or know that the film is not landing or has gone wrong, that is hard. And then you've got to roll with it. Then there's no.
To the context to that 3 movies which did 1,500 crores, you realize that out of a 6,000, 7,000 crore market that Hindi cinema has, 3 movies make up 1,500 or 2,000 crores, which means that everybody else the 200 other movies make hardly any money. It's very risky business, and, and that's what he's saying, that if you are in it to make money, forget it. The level of risk is so high. I mean, it's in terms of pure entrepreneurship, it is the most foolish investment that anybody can make. If 2% of your movies are going to be successful, what other business has a 98% chance of failure? Except one other, where every 5 years, like these gentlemen, you go out and put 100 crores, go out and woo millions of people who, if they don't accept you, then you lose that election. So there are only two people like this who can spend 100 crores and the winner takes all. So, questions, please. Yes. Naeem, can I have a show of hands? If yeah. So 1 and 2 and 3. Everybody from the right wing. I know. Your perspective.
Yeah. My link to the Hindi cinema is through the Hindi film songs. And Hindi film songs have been the, link to them. And some of your movies like Dhoom and Tashan had very good music. But the kind of music that we hear in Hindi films now is something that we don't recall or don't remember. Many times when the same song plays in the radio or in somebody else's this thing, I don't even remember that I had seen this movie and that movie had that song.
So I think the importance of the song for Hindi films cannot be underplayed. I think it has traditionally been a big marker of success. Back in the day, people used to go to see a film if they liked the song just to see the damned song. And now, I mean, I agree with you. I also feel that in the past, whatever, 10 years, there have been some really, like, there have been some bangers, there have been some great songs. Maybe not all of them have been as strong on melody as what we recognize the old Hindi film songs for. But that's a kind of a disconnect that is bound to be there. It's a generational thing. The at no point in time has film music been as important as it is today. So today, in all of the films that we say are hits, each one of them has at least one hit song. At least. Now, the song to become a hit, unfortunately, then it becomes, people are always going to try and look back and see what is it that worked then. And some of it will be an appropriation, some of it will be an approximation. Sometimes something comes out completely left of center. Like a few years ago, there was a film called Ashiki 2. It had very melodious songs, like all very old world Hindi film songs, and all the songs were a hit. And the film, which didn't have very big stars, went on to do very good business because the songs were a big hit. So, at the end of the day, I think music is, जो बनाने वाले होते हैं, थोड़ा उनमें इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए होता है, और कौन उन गानों को हाँ बोल रहा है, वो भी बहुत ज़रूरी. So if the interest in the film song is only business or a dance song, then that is the maximum that you will get.
Thanks. I remember I went for one of these movies as a kid. Chappad Faar Ke, there was that song Kurta Faar Ke. And I think I went for the movie, I went for the song, and then I told my parents, I'm like, let's get out. We're done. Okay, my question, coming from a creative field, we are slowly all moving to a space where our attention spans are very small now, right? And especially where we are able to get all the movies on OTT today.
See, what you've just mentioned is actually the one of the big reasons why we are also talking about how an audience has stopped coming to the theaters, and it's precisely the audience which was coming in for a slightly more nuanced film. It was coming for smaller heroes. It was coming for a certain textured story, and they were making those films a hit in the big cities. That audience is no longer coming into the theaters, that's waiting at the OTT. The only audience which is coming to the theaters are coming at the back of a promise of either a spectacle or of something which they are a little familiar with. So if you look at it, all these films have been sequels. There is a kind of a brand safety. We are coming either for Allu Arjun, we are coming for Allu Arjun as Pushpa, we are coming for Bhool Bhulaiya as a brand, we are coming for Stree because we liked Stree. So that means that an audience is telling you we are not fully sure whether what you've got which is new is great, but ये तुमने पुराना काम ठीक ठाक कर लिया तो हम इसके लिए आ जाएंगे. But the attention span is an ongoing debate. Now it is what it is. We are not. I can't get scared of it. So the only thing that we can think of as a filmmaker, I feel, what is it that I can make which will arrest you, which will arrest your attention enough for you to not look at your phone while watching. Yeah, I'll complete.
Hi Krishna, I'm Dikshit from Hyderabad, precisely from rural Telangana. It's a dream come true moment talking to you like this, because I still remember 2001, Shakalaka Boom Boom.
Arey wah.
Trust me, people like me, there are many Sanjus out there in rural India, and we're introverts for sure. And thanks for giving us hope and also Karuna to aspire for. Thanks so
sweet,
much.
so
Thanks
sweet.
so much.
Thank you.
May I know the reason actually? Somewhere you're from Uttar Pradesh and you inspired a rural Indian from Telangana. And what is a dream? You're a visionary of that time, trust me. Now I can recollect that moment. What is that inspiration to touch those innocent souls and aspire them to hope for something great for tomorrow? Don't give up your dreams. Yeah, that's so great.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
That's
thank you.
that's excellent, and I'm so happy to hear that. The early part of my career, which was in television, I only did things which had somehow to do something with children, because it was also the time of soap operas, and I didn't have the talent for Saas Bahu. Neither was I married, nor was I really sort of keen on that. So I'm so grateful to hear this, because it's and I think we are all at heart we are always children, and that's the one aspect that I think we need to keep alive, because without hope there is nothing. And the role of the artist, I very strongly feel, the role of the artist in any society is to give hope. It is dark out there. It is senseless. Maybe there is no God, maybe there is nothing. But I don't want to see a film which tells me all of that. I want to see a film, I want to hear a story which gives me hope enough to go out and fight another day. And I had there was no vision, there's nothing. We were doing a job. You do the job the best you can and hope that it sticks. And I'm so glad to meet you.
Mohsin here. Will there be use of AI in the scripts of the film? If so, what will be its impact?
देखिए आधे टाइम तो हिंदुस्तान में लोग ये कहते हैं कि यार राइटर है नहीं, तुम लोग को तो कुछ लिखना आता नहीं, एआई क्या हमारा बिगाड़ लेगा.
सही है.
But it is an anxiety, and I think little bit more in Hollywood. From whatever it is, I've not used ChatGPT, but writing the story is harder. Writing a proposal might be easier with AI.
You know, you all talk about all kinds of things.
But that's the question really is that do you should a filmmaker, and this is the question to all of us, that when we look at a filmmaker or evaluate her work, do we see the work for its how much it entertained us, how much it educated us, how much it made us more sensitive to life, how much it made us cry? What is the criterion? Right? For Pupi, it was how much it made her dance. Because she liked Mithun Chakravarti and saw disco dancer a few hundred times. Yeah.
But actually, the truth is, if we fail to entertain you, the battle is lost.
Yeah.
Everything else is a consolation prize. And especially when some people say, अरे उसका message बहुत अच्छा था, इसका मतलब picture वाहियात थी भाई, या बहुत बोर हुए उधर. Billy Wilder said, and I think it's like blazed through my, just entertain them, don't bore them, and I think that's where the question of sensibility, our education, and this visceral experience that we have in the film, they are at variance.
Wow. Wow. Pyasa and Gangubai.
Gangubai.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I must say I really
Sanjay first.
Thank you. I was just thinking through, and one of the most impactful movies that I saw in my school and college days was Jaane Bhi Do Yaro. Now, Jaane Bhi Do Yaro, I'm not seeing those type of movies coming out anymore because they were experimentative, they were topical, and they were irreverent, humorous, and at the same time serious. Now, those are deep impact messages that the youth carried through in in the 90s and 80s and all. Where has that ability of storytelling gone now? And where can we revive that level of competence?
Wow. Yeah.
So, Jaane Bhi Do Yaaro, my Bombay career began working with Kundan.
Oh,
I assisted him on Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na, and it
Oh.
was all thanks to Janabi Duyaro.
wow.
Janabi Duyaro was an NFDC film. Uh, I think it was made for 4.5 lakhs at that time. The only place where it ran was at, I think, in Plaza in Delhi, where it ran in one show for 27 weeks. Otherwise, it was an NFDC release. The film became a cult hit because everybody saw it on VHS, by and large. It was political. It was a spoof, and it's a legend. But cult films and box office successes are they don't ever go hand in hand. Kundan himself would not make another Jani Bidiyaro, though there was, before he passed, there were talks of him making a second one. But that's the other thing. Films, it would be foolish to assume that we make films. The film is bigger than us all, and they say it sounds mystical, sounds little foolish, कि ये पिक्चर बन जाती है, पर वो बन जाती है. Some many things and some happy accidents come together, and a film becomes something alive. And I think that is what Janabi Duyaro was. I think there is a lot of humor. There is a lot of dark humor today on Instagram, and it's uproariously funny, and it's really great. And people are doing Janabi Duyaro in like 1.5 minutes type of things. That perhaps is another place to look at. There is something happening in the zeitgeist of this country. Let's not kid ourselves that it's all dark and everybody's become bad, and but yeah. पर कौन बनाएगा वो picture? The truth is, a film costs money, and if you cannot get that money to make it, you'll have the best ideas and it'll go to your grave.
Hello. I'm speaking for two things. One, there was a question about short attention span, right? And you saw me yawning. You thought you saw me. So I'm speaking out of compulsion, like you had to.
That was the najam behind you.
Yeah. So, like you had to act intelligent in front of your sasural. I have to go back home safely and not get strangled by Anusha. So, in fact, I yawned because I was waiting for my chance to spell out my 5 movies which I find the best.
Please, please.
5 is a big number. I can count only up till 3. And those are Dhoom 1, 2 and 3.
Arey wow. He can count up to 3, but his vocabulary is 1.
Yeah. The other thing is there are a lot of short films on YouTube, like miniature of Junagadh, and there are many such. Some are really beautiful, and some are okay, ordinary. And so, what is the role of these short films? What do you think about them?
I think those inevitably I think they were getting done by Royal Stag, and what they managed to do was put a bunch of these young filmmakers with stories which are like short stories, and which would not have been possible in any other ecosystem. It would have been very hard to make those films. So I feel that just the way we talk about technology as robbing us of attention span, it also is democratizing the means of production. Like, it's easier for people to shoot something with an iPhone today, which is of excellent quality, and put it up on YouTube, rather than wait for some big producer, big name. अगर कुछ करना है तो वो करने का तरीका और मौका तो है, और वो फोन से बेटर कोई चीज नहीं. It's the most democratic. So I think the short films are excellent. That is also a genre which needs a little infusion, because I think it can be a financially successful model. At least it can pay for itself, and that is where it might be at. But Miniaturist is a very nice film. I saw that. It's very nice.
My question is, what sort of the practices and measures that you adopt for getting a great music and the great dialogues, connecting the dots of the some music and the dialogues and the story of yours. And the other is, so today, so in this 2025, what sort of the different revenue methods that you have for getting that, whatever the investments that we do for the films?
So for music and dialogue, the basic thing is that the script, if it sings to you, then you should make it. Ideally, the dialogue is something. हम लोग हिंदुस्तानी लोग हैं, ज़बान हम सबकी थोड़ी अच्छी होती है और हम लोग बातें बहुत करते हैं, हम लोग चल ही रहे. So I think dialogue शायद हम लोगों के DNA में, हम लोग अच्छे dialogue लिख सकते हैं. Music in film, I'm a very big fan of Vijay Anand. Because I feel that the way he sort of incorporated music as the screenplay of the film, because in his films, music always plays a dramatic role. It takes the story forward. The opposite is as well, I mean, it's true as well. The film can stop and you can see a great song and then go back. That's all fine as well. But for me, that would be the ideal situation. Does it happen each time? Probably not. Music needs, I think it needs investment in the person, in the music director. And that's pretty much it. And sometimes you don't get, because it is creative. There is no, you can't force it. There is no formula for it. कभी अच्छा हो जाता है, कभी नहीं भी होता.
Very quickly, because every Wednesday we run a film club here. So we screen a film, irrespective of whether it's hell or high water. The film is going to happen at Lamakaan. And we are doing it for the last 8 years continuously. So we also screen Kislavsky and many of these big stalwarts, So my quick question to you is related to the stereotyping in Bollywood film, particularly the unrealistic perpetuation of, giving some ideals to the society. Where are we going to break these ideals which are unrealistic? And also, is there a way that we can also learn from the vernacular cinema? Particularly, I'm a big fan of Malayalam cinema today because they're making some amazing films. So they have the art of storytelling with limited budget, and they can actually they know how to actually tell a story on the screen. So why is that Bollywood with the stellar cast, they are unable to do so?
So it's a longish answer because, but I'll try and make it as quick. In Malayalam cinema, if you look at it historically, the difference between what is art house cinema and mainstream Malayalam cinema, the difference is actually minuscule, and it is unique. It occupies a unique space. Now, whether Arvindan was also a successful filmmaker, the budgetary constraints have actually become their strength because they know how to make a film for cheap. And there is an audience which comes and it watches those films. So what we call vernacular in Hindi thing, actually those are the flourishing industries of this country. And that is where it should flourish. Because, see, we all want to hear stories in our language. In Hindi films, what happens is we want to please, and we have to please many people. Hindi films used to be the uniting factor in India. If you look at the Manmohan Desai thing, which everybody has seen Amar Akbar Anthony in some fashion or the other. After a point, the filmmaking became more expensive, and because you have to cater to many different kinds of audiences, it became more and more toothless. And it became more and more generic. So the broad strokes is where it will be at. But the refinement or the local stories that a Malayalam film will be able to tell is not possible for a mainstream Hindi film to do. A Bhojpuri film can do it. A film made only for Madhya Pradesh can do it. So I think These are other models which which is the only way that it can work is when a committed number of an audience goes to see that film. Whether it's Telugu or Tamil, that audience has not left watching those films. And that is what finally makes it work.
Brilliant. I think I'll cut out the other 123 questions I had. So, because we can just go on and on. It's very rare that you can get somebody who knows his art, who knows the craft, and has studied it to such an extent that he can comment on everybody's work. Right? We asked him very little about his own, but you could see the amount of thinking that has gone into answering every question that that we threw up. So multiple questions that are really there to ask Victor, and that's my complaint to people like you, Victor. And that complaint is that you've made fabulous cinema, you've written well, you've written songs, you've given us some wonderful movies, but you haven't told us the stories behind the story. That was a complaint that you made about others. That's a complaint I have from you, that why don't I see Victor writing a book on making the Dhoom series. It will be something that a lot of us would like to read. There's such little good literature on cinema that exists in India. Very, 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 very few books. We have some, really amateurish kind of work which is coming up as people's biographies, as told to and as told by. But serious work which is readable, which has a large audience, unfortunately, and you have to take that blame, right? Because who else will write? So I think that is something that will be my complaint. But as we end this this conversation and this 15th anniversary of Lamakaan, we couldn't have had a more appropriate person to talk to us about everything that we believe in here at Lamakaan, which is good literature, culture, expression, freedom, the ability to create, the ability to get audiences together, to democratize issues, to get people thinking. That's what we at Lamakaan believe, and that's exactly what we find in Acharya's work, and if you've forgotten his real name. But that's really, and that's why I think it's really appropriate that that you gave us your time to bring down this 15th edition of Lamakaan's annual offering, the true valedictorian that you've been. We would really like to have you back here several times to discuss each one of these issues. We can have separate sessions on writing stories, on writing dialogues, on where you put an interval into the scene. I've often wondered, why does it suddenly come, interval? Who thinks of it? How do you cast? I mean, he couldn't tell us his favorite hero or heroine now, but so he has to decide that at some point in time. So, on behalf of Lamakaan, on behalf of everybody else, this is my thanks. There's a formal thanks that somebody else does, and they'll thank me also. So, but thank you for being a wonderful audience. I hope you agree with me that, and here is my hypothesis. And I think, having read a little bit, having heard a little bit, and having seen a lot of cinema, that there is really no medium that is as powerful as cinema. A great novel is a great novel. You can write a super play. You can do a good audio lecture. You can dance. You can sculpt. But if you want to tell a story, if you want to get people moved, if you want to convey what you want to convey, there is nothing that compares itself to cinema. And therefore, to those who produce and direct cinema, absolute tribute. You've done such fabulous work. And I really hope that we see a lot more. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So both the gentlemen are requested to be seated. Our ladies will come and give you the love and affection from Lamakaan. So some goodies. Yeah. Yes. It's a small token of love and affection. Couple of bags as well. All right, I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of Lamakaan for this very stellar performance today that we had. A wonderful, candid conversation. Thank you, Amir Ullah Khan, for your wit and humor. Thank you, Victor, for the wonderful session. It was more like an education for all of us. Thank you. So, yeah. Thank you. Yes.
अपने तो खून में इश्क की लाली है